Alright, what's up, guys? Come back on here. NFL Draft is over, and yesterday and today pretty much went over all the guys the Texans picked. Today they picked up some free agents, so I'll just go over mostly who we selected and then what I think they can contribute to the team, and then go over some of the free agents that we signed. So first pick, we picked Jadeveon Clowney, South Carolina, D-end, outside linebacker. Pretty much how Rick Smith went over it in his press conference, that Clowney in the 3-4 set will probably be an outside linebacker, but in the nickel package he'll be a defensive end, pretty much, or a rush end. He was pretty much the best prospect available. You know, the people are down on his work ethic. I don't know, after he got drafted and all these people talk to him, he's pretty much saying that he's coming out here. He's going to prove to everyone, all the doubters, how good he really is, and that he's just glad to be on the Texans. And he's been talking to J.J. Watt and how he wants to be part of this team and be dominant. So can't really doubt him, see what he does, and hopefully it pans out. And this defense would be pretty nasty if him and Watt together, pretty much. So second round, we picked Xavier Su'a-Filo, guard out of UCLA. In some of my other mocks, I had him being picked by Texans, but I felt like they weren't really going to go for a guard offensive tackle. They'd probably pick best available, but I guess they picked best available based on need, and pretty much the best available need was him at guard, and we don't really have one at left guard since we got rid of Wade Smith. So this kid's pretty physical. He could have gone in the first round. He was that highly graded, so it was pretty much a very good pick in the second round to get him. He'll start left guard again with Dwayne Brown. So, you know, this draft is very focused on needs and guys that could come in right away and start. We got Clowney, he's going to come in and start. We have Su'a-Filo will probably definitely come in and start. Third round, we picked C.J. Ferdowski or Fidowitz, or I don't know how to say his last name. It's very long. Tight end, Iowa. I thought this was one of the better picks that we had. He's 6'6", 265, runs around a 4'6", 4'7". That's not bad for a kid that big. Obviously, his size. He's more of a blocking tight end, but when I looked over his film and highlights, he has most of it. They're not obviously not going to show him blocking because that's not a very big highlight. But he has plenty of games that he's a big target. Iowa didn't really use him more as a receiver, but they had him split out as a receiver, kind of like what Jimmy Graham and Gronkowski do. They're pretty much the same size as him. Obviously, he wasn't as praised as them, but they weren't that praised coming out of college either. Gronkowski was picked in the second round. I want to say Graham was second, third round, but he was a basketball player, so that's a lot different. But similar size, kid, big target. Pretty much all the games going into linebacker or something, he can catch a jump ball over them, which pretty much we'll probably use him for. Even against a corner or a nickel. Most of his highlights, him pretty much, if a guy gets in his way, he's just going to run him right over. You know, be able to easily get jump balls over him. I'm not too over smaller corners, or he can run right by a linebacker and catch it over him. I'm not too worried about that. And I feel like goal line, he's a blocking and a receiving threat. If we have him blocking, it's pretty much like a small guard out there, 265. He's a pretty, like I said, he's more of a run blocker, so. And he's a good, even if we don't use him run block, play action, he can go underneath and you can do like a bootleg or something, because Fitzpatrick has some speed, and so does one of the quarterback that we picked in the fourth round. I'll go over that in a minute, but they both have a good enough speed that they can roll out and like a bootleg, and he can go across field on a seam and pretty much hit him on that, or slant across the middle. I think, yeah, he's one of the better picks. At first I was a little shocked, but then when I really saw, I didn't think they'd go tight end. I thought they could probably go like DN or something, but tight end, we only have Garrett Graham, really. Ryan Griffin really didn't improve too much last year. I'm not going to say he's not that good, but Bill Brown likes his tight ends and likes the versatile players. If this kid splits out at a receiver, he can be another target for whoever our quarterback is. The other third-round pick we had was Louis Nix III, nose tackle from Notre Dame. Another great pick here. We traded back in the third round. We have our fourth and fifth round picks, but a kid that's supposed to go in the first round, early second, we get him in the late third round. It's pretty much a steal. He fits Romeo Crennel's system as that big nose tackle that can pretty much stop the run and that's all we're really looking for right now. And he does have some pass rushing abilities, but we're more focused on him being a run stuffer. So Lewis Nix with Clowney and Watt, these guys all can get on the same page. This defensive line can be pretty tough to get by, and it can help our secondary that has obviously got picked apart pretty much when our defensive line hasn't got towards the quarterback or any pressure at all. That's pretty much all last year really came down to. But fourth round, we picked Tom Savage, quarterback out of Pittsburgh. I like this pick a lot. At first, I was really like, I don't know, I thought Houston in fourth round they would pick A.J. McCarron if he was there, but I don't know, Bill Brown is very confident about Savage pretty much, and like I said, this kid can run. I watched some of his highlights and some just game footage alone, and he's good at getting away from pressure because Pittsburgh offensive line in college wasn't that good. I watched his tape it's just like regular tape against Florida State, and this kid had pressure on him all game. He made some mistakes, but when you're down 20-something to 7 against a team that went on to win the national championship, they're going to send the house, and he did good against pressure. Obviously, he forced some throws, but when you're down, you got to force some throws, and he didn't have the greatest receivers or offensive line, so this kid was pretty much running around the whole game, but he still had some good plays, good throws. Today, I heard the press conference with Bill O'Brien and Rick Smith, and he was saying that, I want to say John McClain asked the question if Savage would sit the first year, and he said pretty much that it's competition, and he'll go in there and compete with Fitzpatrick, Yates, and Keenum. I don't know if he'll start, but they've had some high praise for this kid, and I wouldn't be too upset they started him right away because I feel like they have the weapons around him. And he could obviously be successful since day one, but Fitzpatrick starting wouldn't hurt either. Fifth round, we didn't have a pick. Sixth round, we picked first. I think we picked Pagan from. Was it Pagan? I want to say it's Pagan from Alabama. We picked first. Kid's a defensive end. He's pretty big. I think he's around 300 pounds. He was hurt a little bit, but we still have that need at right defensive end. I don't know if he'll go in and beat out like a Jared Crick or Jamison, but they picked him for a reason. This kid has some pass rushing ability. He had an injury, but he played at Alabama. He's got to be pretty good. You don't just pick some bum off the street and put him on University of Alabama football team. So he can go in and start at that right defensive end spot that still has a hole, and no one's pretty much starting there. So the other sixth round pick, we picked Alfred Blue, running back from LSU. This is another good pick that I really liked. He started at LSU his first couple seasons in 2012. I want to say 2012 he tore his ACL, and then the last season Jordan Hill or Jeremy Hill or whatever the kid's name is, the starter for LSU, obviously started after Blue got hurt, and then Blue only saw limited carries this season. Kid started at LSU, got hurt, then he saw some secondary carries. He won't obviously start in Houston unless Foster gets hurt again, but he started at LSU, and he's pretty good. He's not the fastest, but he can make people miss, and I think it's another pick that LSU need a second running back, a backup, and maybe they'll use him to split him out at receivers. Like I said, he's not the fastest, but not the slowest, and he has some decent hands, so it's another pick that we pretty much picked needs and things that we could use, so another good need. The last sixth round pick we picked Jay Prosh, fullback from Auburn. This is another good pick. We don't have a fullback. He's around 6'1", 250. He can catch very good too. So, like I said, going with him and Fedowski or Fedowitz or whatever the hell the kid's name is, we can do play action and go underneath and give Savage or Fitzpatrick, one of the guys, they had an option to throw at him going across, or we could have Prosh going across, or he's a good run blocker as well. So even if he can do a play action or actually run it towards that side, and this kid's a pretty good run blocker in college. So he's a dual threat. He can play tight end too if we really wanted to. He's a good H-back. So another good pick, another need that we actually use and need. fullback in the goal line, so that's another good pick. The 7th round pick, we picked Dre Hall, cornerback. This kid played at Vanderbilt, wasn't very highly praised coming out. I heard a video earlier that he was all SEC. I don't know all the truth behind that, but if that's true, this kid can easily come in and play nickel because we have a need at nickel. He obviously won't start the other two positions, but a nickel is very needed, and we've seen some pretty much some bad play at the nickel position the last couple of years. I'm looking up right now. He's a 2-time All-SEC selection. 6 picks, 133 tackles. For a nickel, you're not really looking for that. You're just looking for someone that can cover underneath. I think he can easily come in and start at nickel because pretty much don't have anyone else. And then our last 7th round pick, we chose, what's the kid's name? A kid from Memphis. He's a safety. I'm trying to think of the kid's name. Lonnie Ballantyne, safety from Memphis. Safety, obviously, we have Swearinge at one side, but we have Kendrick Lewis and Chris Clements on the other side. I think this is more of a depth, more of a special teams player, but if we do have a couple injuries, I think he can come in or maybe play nickel. I don't know. He could be a safety turner in nickel. We obviously need nickel and secondary help, so it's another help and need that we obviously have. And then free agents, pretty much the undrafted free agents that Houston selected were all just obviously the other needs that we didn't go in the draft. Just looking at the list right now, we picked a couple linebackers, a couple offensive tackles. Let's see. We got a kicker, which you really need. Chris Boswell from Rice. He was believed to be one of the highest. Some people highlighted him as the highest rated kicker. And we don't, and freaking, what's his name? Randy Bullock's not good at all, so we need a kicker, so we got him. Got a couple offensive linemen, a couple receivers, 5 linebackers. They signed 4 defensive tackles and another corner. Got 19 players overall, so we pretty much got those needs and depth, pretty much depth positions. We have no depth at inside linebacker, so some of these players probably were highly rated and then just didn't get picked. And I know a couple of players that I thought would get picked 3rd, 4th rounds that didn't even get drafted. So I don't know. I feel like the inside linebacker position was deeper than they were hired, or drafted, but they were really not a lot of them got drafted. So some of these guys that were supposed to get drafted 4th, 5th round didn't even get drafted, and Houston picked up some of them up. So he'd probably come here and be decent starters. If I had to look at the starters right now on the offensive line, it would be Dwayne Brown, Suafilo, Myers, Brooks, and Quisenberry at right tackle. But if Brandon Williams does come back, I feel like Quisenberry would be guard, and then he'd be right tackle. I'm not a big fan of Brandon Brooks, so that's my philosophy on that. And then on defense, we'd have, in the 3-4 set, we would have, going left to right, I'd have Clowney, Pagan, Nix, Watt, and Merciless, and then inside we'd have Cushing and Brooks Reed. And then safeties would have J. Joe and Kareem Jackson as 2 cornerbacks. And then safeties would have Swearinger. And I feel like Chris Clemens would win the other safety position. He's been started for a while in Miami, so I don't know why he wouldn't win that job. And then I don't really know the depth at quarterback. Fitzpatrick might be the quarterback or Savage. Not very unsure about that. But then we have Graham and Fredowitz at tight end, Foster at running back, Prosh at fullback, Blue as backup running back, and Andre Brown. Receivers pretty much the same, unless one of these undrafted free agent kids come out and is better than we expect them to be. And then we got the dual threat at kicker. We have what's the kid's name that we just picked up? Randy Bullock and Chris Boswell. So those are pretty much the positions that I could see go either way. But besides that, I thought it was a great draft. Being from New England, obviously the radio shows pretty much face on New England, but they were talking about on Saturday how they thought that Houston had a great draft and that how Bill O'Brien pretty much drafted all needs and guys that he saw in New England that could be pretty much transferred to Houston. That was pretty good that they came out and said that they had a good draft and how Bill O'Brien pretty much knows what he's doing. You gotta trust him, and hopefully we have a good turnaround. Mini camps coming up, so we can see the position battles, and hopefully this draft is a big one and turns into a great season. So that's my thoughts, and I'll be on soon. So.